We have this idea that relationships end with a big, dramatic fight, right? A huge clash. But what if the real danger isn't the shouting? What if it's the silence that comes after? Let's talk about this silent erosion and why it can be so incredibly destructive. Wow, that that kind of flips the script, doesn't it? It suggests that the quiet, the lack of conflict, can actually be way more damaging than a big argument. And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. We're going to dive into this through the story of someone who actually lived it, someone who spent years feeling completely disconnected inside their own marriage. And this is the part that so many of us get wrong. The shutdown wasn't because they stopped loving their partner. It wasn't about not caring. It was a coping mechanism, plain and simple. Their brain was just so overwhelmed with stress, it didn't have the tools to handle it all. So how does this even happen? Well, it all boils down to a huge, huge mismatch in how two people see the exact same situation. This is really the core of the problem. Psychologically speaking, this is a really important distinction. Emotional shutdown isn't an attack. It's an active defense. Seriously, think of it like a circuit breaker in your house. The system gets overloaded and it just shuts down to prevent, a total fire. And this is the absolute tragedy of it all. One person thinks they're just putting up a shield to protect themselves, but their partner, they don't see a shield. They see a brick wall. So it feels like self-preservation to one person, feels like total personal rejection to the other. And when that disconnect is just left there, unaddressed, it doesn't just stay there. Oh no. It sets off a chain reaction, a ripple effect that can tear the whole relationship apart. So here's how it plays out. First, you just stop talking as much. Then, that feeling of emotional safety, the feeling that you can be totally yourself, it vanishes. Every conversation you don't have adds a little more distance, and then eventually that cold, quiet distance just hardens into resentment. Now, this growing distance creates a kind of vacuum, and because we're human, our deep need for connection will try to fill that vacuum, and sometimes it does it in really dangerous ways. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just biology. We are wired to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel like we matter to someone. And if that fundamental need isn't being met in our main relationship, the need itself doesn't just go away. And this is a really, really critical point. When a person feels invisible at home, they become vulnerable. So if someone else, somewhere else, suddenly offers them attention and makes them feel seen, it can feel like a lifeline. But let's be crystal clear here. This explains the risk that shutdown creates. It absolutely does not excuse betrayal. So think about it like this. The shutdown itself is what builds that space, that empty void between two people. But it's when secrecy starts to fill that void, that's when the real destruction happens. See, distance, you can fix distance. But once trust is destroyed, that is a much, much deeper wound. Okay, so if silence is the problem, how do you fix it? The answer isn't just talk more. It's about learning a completely new way of connecting with each other, a whole new language. Man, this is such a huge mindset shift to make. We tell ourselves that staying quiet is keeping the peace. It's a total myth. Silence doesn't prevent damage, it is the damage. It's just happening slowly, quietly, over time. This is where getting some professional help can be a total game changer. It's so easy to think of therapy as a place where you go to figure out who's wrong, but it's not a courtroom. It's more like a gym, a place to build up the emotional and communication skills that, let's be honest, most of us were never taught. And finally, if any of this is hitting home for you, whether you're the one who shuts down or the one who feels shut out, please, please hear this. You are not broken. This is a common human pattern. And like that pottery, the cracks can be repaired. In fact, they can even become a source of strength. Help is out there. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. If you know deep down that the silence isn't working, what is the one conversation that really, truly needs to start? Thank you so much for exploring this with us. And as always, just a reminder that this is for educational purposes. It's not a substitute for professional mental health care.